Welcome to Season 4 of You Are Your Name. In this podcast, we explore the influence of name on our thinking, our health, and our experiences. In this season, we're going to explore 5 topics where the mathematical principle, as taught in the Kabalarian Philosophy, is key. These topics are fulfilling our purpose, establishing consistent happiness, building a more constructive, balanced mind, attaining mental freedom, which we consider a spiritual expression, and creating happy and fulfilling relationships. My name is Daken Ariel, and my co-host is Marlowe Shearing. Our guest today is Juhli Farrell, a long-term Kablarian student. Welcome, ladies, to the podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you, Daken.
In the next 4 episodes, we're going to discuss that first topic, which is understanding purpose and how it relates to name. This first episode is going to paint the broader universal purpose of humanity. Although it's more theoretical, we hope it paints a bigger picture and gives you a broader perspective on the whys of life. Why are we here as an individual? What is our universal potential? And why do we fall short of that potential? Why is name the key to understanding these questions? Juhli, I wonder if you could start by explaining the principle of life as understood by the circle diagram.
Each individual at some point in their life does consider, why are we here? And so to create a picture of the bigness and the potential of each person's purpose, as explained by the mathematical principle, we use to describe life a circle, that it is this beautiful, never-ending expression of intelligence. We take that circle and we cut it in half, therefore demonstrating the law of duality. And the top half of the circle of life is consciousness, or the abstract. And the lower half of the circle, which is a reflection of that top half, is the finite world that we live in. And then each of us are born into life. We take our first breath of life and we are a living human being. And so we show that involution of the individual born into this vast process of time, taking their first breath and having a mathematical number associated with their inner nature or purpose, what we call a birth path. And then life for each human should be learning all of the laws that govern life, and born into that emotion or that instinctive level, and with the assigning of the name, which creates their mind, and learning language, first having that intellectual understanding of life, but evolving to recognize those vast laws that govern all of life, and equipping our mind through following the physical disciplines, the mental disciplines as associated with those laws, and evolving back to being a conscious being. And what do we mean by a conscious being? We mean that mind that is fulfilling that spiritual purpose as assigned by the date of birth, and expressing the beautiful, intelligent qualities of the qualitative side of the mathematical principle.
The reason we call it a universal potential is that every individual in life takes that first breath, and that first breath then is measurable by the time of birth. And that is how we will discuss birth path. But the other thing about that circle of life is that process of involution. When life starts, we have the simple forms of life of the instinctive laws of animals. And that dividing line, as Juhli described, is saying that man has the ability to think, that man is the only expression of consciousness in life, And so then man has this unique purpose or potential of becoming that expression of reason. Other forms of life follow a natural or an instinctive law. Man should discover the conscious laws of being to fulfill that great purpose that he has.
When you think about a child born, it has a physical body, but it also has a universal potential to develop consciousness. But it can only do that through the name. And that's why the name is the key. It's the lens, as it were, of taking that reason and expressing it into life in terms of thoughts and ideas. So mind is actually, in a sense, a mathematical expression of intelligence. And we know that the name is the mechanism for that translation of those abstract qualities of intelligence into thought. And so we don't have this natural affinity to this universal power with an unbalanced name. That becomes a restriction. So if you have someone who's a Peter, they are going to channel this quality of the one quality in a very strong way. They're original, creative, independent, but it makes them more self-centered and more skeptical and focused on self. So the name itself is translating these universal powers in a distorted or unbalanced way. So that's why the name is such a key aspect of translating this abstract intelligence and bringing it into expression through a balanced concept.
And that's why we always say that balancing the name is that first step to allowing the most freedom of that inner expression of our birth path or our spiritual job in life, because it is that combination of mathematics and language that creates the name, that creates the mind. And as was just said, if it's created limitations, it doesn't allow us to find that freedom to express those natural principles of life. And that's just the first step, because really life should be a happy journey that we are refining. And in that word refining, that we're looking and learning the laws of life. We've created an understanding of diet and all of the laws to look after our physical instrument, and that we're learning how to be an individual that is using thought with the combination of understanding the mathematical principle, that we become an expression that is constructive rather than expressing an emotional impulse. And that process is the effort towards that consciousness, or as termed, spirituality.
One point about that, the little child is born into emotion. Their world is centered on themselves, which is natural. So emotion is that power of life. And as they develop a mind, as they grow and mature, then they have an intellectual understanding. So then if they discover this mathematical principle, now they have a conscious understanding of how the laws of life work, how this reason comes into expression through mind. And so we call that relationship the five basic truths. And that's the relationship of mathematics, language, name, mind, and consciousness. If we say, what is the purpose of mind? The purpose of mind is to actually flow that reason as an intelligent power and evolve back to a broader conscious understanding of life.
Yes, and that mathematical principle is the foundation of our understanding of life. But we recognize that language is the differentiation between man and an animal, that thinking ability, that what is your name? My name is, and then it characterizes who you are as an individual. And that mind then is what allows that individual to grow in concept perspective. As we develop, we learn skills, abilities, understanding, but the conscious flow of energy comes through that awareness of the principles of life. So mathematics, language, a balanced name, mind, and then consciousness, that balanced mind created from that balanced name. Often you hear of the Kabalarian philosophy and you think balanced name and you just think, oh, they're just thinking up a name combination, but really it relates to that inner potential and that opportunity of that mind to grow and become that broad expression of truth, rather than the individual that's born with an unbalanced name, no understanding of the principle, and it immediately creates a lack of awareness of that opportunity in life. And so it limits, not through any fault, but just through the lack of awareness of the truth of the principle.
Anything you want to add to that, Julie?
So when we look at this circle of involution, the first privilege is that by knowing our inner nature from our date of birth, our inner potential, we have a sense of how our individual purpose can fit in to the overall lifting of life, as it were, because really our job as a human is to make life a better place than it was before we were here, that there is a privilege and a responsibility in that spiritual evolution and in understanding the mathematical principle. And as we work to understand mind, that we work with the mathematical principle to create harmony between people, to understand why we would want to incorporate the strength of initiative and individuality in our life. As we do that work, we become a more worthy channel or a strength in that expression of consciousness and harmony in life itself today.
Understanding purpose, we certainly start with the focus on balanced name, and that's because it balances the inner potential with the outer expression of mind. But we recognize that a balanced name is not enough, that there is a requirement to develop, or what we would call mental development. And that is the expression of those positive, constructive qualities of mathematics through our mind, so that we're independent, we're original, yet we're diplomatic, and we're expressive and enthusiastic. We have the logic and the system of the 4. We have the exploration of the 5. And each number adds a dimension to our mind. And so that mental growth or mental development is where we take the mathematical principle and use it as a measuring tool to express our higher potential through the intelligent qualities of 1 to 9.
Yes, and our purpose in life is to be happy. So really, we're working to create that mental achievement of that beautiful, calm objectivity, optimistic, creative outlook in life, and expressing all of those constructive qualities of the mathematical principle.
And those positive qualities of the mathematics creates that quality of thinking. And you think of the opposite of reactions or temper or moods, and it's all related to that small world of self. And so as a baby is born, that's their first recognition of life. I'm hungry, I'm cold, I'm wet. But the quality of thinking is developed through the mind making decisions. So I will learn how to become diplomatic, and I will expand my mind to see that quality of diplomacy or that quality of expressiveness that brings so much life and light to others. And so your mind is reaching out through thinking to draw in energies of life to add to. And that is what we consider to be that conscious expression.
Well, I think that was a good overview. Thank you for your participation. Next week, we'll have a different facet of purpose. So we'll look forward to you joining us then as well. Until then, happy thoughts.
Whenever you're ready, here are 3 ways we can help you. Number 1, the Balanced Name Recommendation Service. Join the thousands of others who have harmonized their names with their inner potential to improve their health, happiness, and success. Number 2, learn the principles of mental freedom. Participate in our online training program to gain the essential tools to create all the progressive changes you seek in your life. These proven truths will open up new perspectives and accelerate your attainment of health, happiness, and success. Number 3, let Kalex Solutions help you choose a balanced name for your business, because many business names are an impediment to one's overall business success.